So this recording is going to be demonstrating a Revit project setup using our latest template and workflows. I just downloaded the files from their new Forma site. And what we do is we save these to the desktop and the project folder at the same time. So I'm going to go to the project and then see Portland. Let me look up the project number. In the meantime, put these to my desktop. Don't have a project number. I think it's this one. Just little consolidation. In the meantime, what we want to do is we need to set up a project folder in Revit Server first. So what we do is we have to open up Internet Explorer, which is the Revit Server compatible browser. Okay. And we go to the server, which corresponds to the office where this project is. So in this case, it's the Long Island project. And you'll notice that we have some options. It could be Revit Server 16, 15, 14, 17. So we need to know what file format the original file is. And I can tell from the thumbnail it says 2016. But what we're going to do is, just to be safe, is we're going to open up Revit 2016. We're going to open that architecture file up. If it tells us that it's being upgraded, then that means that it's from a previous format. We cancel. We go back down to probably 14. And if in 14 it says this was saved in a later format, then that means it's 15. Okay. But it does, well, this email says it's 2015. I like to see the models have a version name in the file, you know, R16 or V16. Because the transmittal said Portland 2015, but I'm opening in 16. I'm getting no warnings, and it looks like the thumbnail says 16 for the template. So, yeah, no warning. So this is a 16 project, and it says level 5. So I know that this is 16. So I know that we're looking at 16. And then
that's the address for the 2016 Revit Server.
Yep, the way that the addresses work is it's / the server name, whether it be NYOFS2, LIOFS1, NJOFS1, LAOFS1. / Revit Server admin is always the same, and then the year that you intend to put the project in. So we we know the server. So under Long Island, once you go to this server, you can actually access all the other servers for the 2016 projects because they're all connected. So it doesn't really matter, but I like to always go to the address for the location I'm working on. I'm going to, under LIOFS1, I'm going to create a new folder. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we have a new, we're following the network naming, so we go to M. We create a new folder here, and we copy the name of the project from the network and paste that into here. Okay. Now the Revit server is like the regular network in the sense that if the file path gets too long, then the central model won't work. You know, if the like where this is housed, if that name gets too long, then we have to change the name. So looking at this name so far, I don't see anything we can do in terms of changing the length, but we'll know for sure when we try to sync up after we create our template if it's working or not. And then if it isn't, this is why, and we just shorten up that folder name. All right? Underneath the folder, we create the ARC folder like we have on the conventional network. So we select the project, new folder, ARC. Okay. If we have structural models, if we have base building MEP models, anything like that, we make subfolders. So with this open, actually before I forget, we're going to go to the ARC originals. Create the folder in there. Let me just copy this guy over there so we always have the untouched original. And then as that's happening in the background, we have our splash page from their model. It tells us it's a 2016 project using Imperial. It's from Perkins. Here's the project name. And what I like to do is, the first thing I like to do is I create my own 3D view just to see the whole project so I get an understanding of it. So I just click on the house button and I get the, there we go. So from here we see that it's a single floor. It looks like they have a CAD link in here for, you can see it here, DWG, for the furniture, which you can see right here, it's a little dicey. But knowing that there is a CAD link in there means that for our backgrounds, when we set this project up, we'll have to use by linked view for the ARC background so that that CAD file shows up. All right, so knowing that, I also see there's no exterior here. That's probably all CAD, and probably the base building is all CAD as well. After I open up the 3D view, I then head down to the sheets, and I start to look at the sheets, basically as you would any project. You look at the PDFs to know what they look like. So we're going to look at, we have a demolition plan. Nothing on it. Floor plan. Nothing on it. All right, you guys are doing good. Awesome. Very preliminary in the project, so they don't have them set up yet. But
so why do they? What is the purpose of them having, like for the furniture? What is the purpose of them having a CAD background if they also have 3D geometry for furniture as well?
It's a starting point. My best guess is that they received that CAD from the original base building or previous tenant, and that's their starting point, rather than model that over in Revit.
Yeah.
They just link it in the background, and then they modify the new design based on that. All right. So even though they don't have sheets set up, they do have views set up using the sheet names. So if we go here, this will be the demo plan. Now again, it's very preliminary, so there might not be any indication of demo work, but at least this kind of looks messy. See here we have some walls and doors and things that we're going to have to work on. But in the initial stage of the project, we're just concerned with understanding how the background works so that when we link it into our project, we know which views we need, what to expect, how to set everything up. Okay? So we have that. This is our construction plan. It's got some color coding and a legend there. Ceiling plan. Power plan, we got it all. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this file and we're going to save it to the new folder that we just created. Head over to, oh, you see this? No Revit server. I can't save to Revit server. The reason we can't save to Revit server is because this file cannot be saved as a central model. Only central model capable files can be saved to Revit server. The reason that a file cannot be saved as a central is if no work sets exist. Because a central model needs work sets in order for you and me to both work in the same project, it needs to have work sets enabled. So when you start a new project from scratch, there aren't, let's say, not using an AMA template, using the out-of-the-box template. There's no work sets. You can see it down here at the bottom of the screen.
There's nothing there.
Right. So all you have to do is click on the Manage Work Sets button, and then this creates work sets and enables work sharing. And what it does is, by default, it takes all the levels and grids, which are classified by their model category, and puts them on a work set called Shared Levels and Grids. Everything else goes on work set 1, which is kind of like layer 0. I click OK. Eventually, when we get an update from these guys, they should have work sets enabled. And then when we replace our file, we'll just get all of that functionality already, so we won't have to do this again. Okay, so this is just creating the work sets, moving everything around. So far, so good?
So far, so good.
Okay. So this has been saved here, too. 89. Good size. Now, when I was looking at the construction plan, it looked like this whole left or west region was out of scope. It was like grayed out. We'll have to confirm. Like maybe this is another company, like there's two offices, 2 suites or something like that. Okay, this should be finishing up. Now, it's not important that we make additional work sets. We're not working in this. We're not managing it. I'm only doing this so that I can get saved to Revit server. Okay. Now, currently, I'm the owner because I created all of them. So once you, depending on how they transmit the model, when you open it, even if they do have work sets enabled, you inherently become the owner of all the work sets, which, if you can recall, what that means is no one else can modify anything if you're the owner. Usually we're borrowers of work sets when we're working. Even though we're not working in this model, it's important that we still relinquish the control of all of those things in the event someone else has to go in and maybe tweak something or change something in the background if we're forced to do that. They need that ability to open this up and change it. If you have everything owned,
they can't do it.
Right. So one of the last steps is for us to sync and relinquish before we complete this. So I'm going to go to Save As Project. And now Revit Server is available because it's got work sets, because it's work sharing enabled. We go to Long Island. We go to the project. We go here. See how it says detached? I don't like having that or a date on a file because when we go to replace it in the future, the file name needs to stay the same the entire time. So if they put a date, then every time we get a new one with a different date, we're going to have to rename things. So usually,
be able to overwrite with the same name.
Yeah, when it says detached, they didn't use eTransmit, which is the Autodesk plugin for transmitting models. When that's done, there is no detached. You get additional prompts that let you know that that was the way it was done, and that's usually the best way to do it.
Okay.
So for right now, I'm just going to put MMC Portland. I don't know what that is going to be, but typically for Perkins and Will, they have a project number at the beginning of it too. So just keep that in mind. When you start seeing those things, it has to always stay the same. So for right now, we're just going to say MMC Portland. Now I'm working off the, that's why it's a little sluggish. But what this is doing is it's, I think, yeah, this is saving it all the way back to Long Island.
Okay.
So you know when you open CAD files from another office, it takes a while. Okay. Now what I like to do when I'm setting a project up is leave this file open while I'm setting up our project too, in case I need to look at some stuff from there. It's like, is this really a fire alarm device? You know, when you tab through and you select stuff, I have it open, so I don't have to wait, check things out.
Sure.
But what that means is you have to open up a separate instance of Revit. You can't have the background and the host open in the same file because there's like some circular logic. In AutoCAD, you're going to have an XREF and a working file, and you can't do it here. So what we have to do is we have to open up another instance of Revit, right? Separate from just open, like the open dialog, two separate Revits. Okay. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Open. We're going to head over to the Y drive. This is where our template is kept. We're going to head down to Revit, Templates. Now at this point, because I'm working on the template every day. I'm working on it in 14 so that I can upgrade to the other versions versus 16 where I can't go backwards. So the 14 template at this point is really the only one that I can guarantee is the latest and greatest. When we get to a point where the template is, let's say, rollout ready, then what's going to happen is you're going to open the right version, and there'll be a 17 and 18, and you'll open the right one.
Sure.
Because we're opening a 14 project in 16, I don't want to risk upgrading my 14 template
and not go back.
Exactly. So to do that, we're going to single click, and we're going to detach from central, so that.
So you choose 14, but single click.
Correct, because of the transitional template.
Got it.
I would say, quite honestly, always detach from central no matter what, because I don't want people who are creating new projects to accidentally create a local file of the template, set the whole project up, and then forget to save as, click sync, and now our template is really the Portland project.
Yep.
So we always want to detach from central. For right now, we're just going to click the 14 template because, like I said, 15 and 16 haven't been upgraded yet.
Are we the only ones who do this type of work? Or is it like...
I'm the only one who's doing this type of work. Jerry's the only one who's doing the type of work. But we need more people to understand how to set these projects up. I don't think in the near future I'm going to have anyone modify the template proper, but I would like for, let's say, Bob Hobson to be able to set up his own project, or Scott to be able to set up his own project. There's little tweaks. The template, we're trying to get the template to, let's say, 80% of what you need to set this project up. You know, the VB settings, the view templates, the view ranges, the Revit links, those all have to be custom to each background, each project, each architect. We don't know the way that the execution plan is going to look. They might dictate that we have to use specific backgrounds that they've established as linked views for us. And in that case, we have to do that. Or they don't, and we have to tag all of our rooms, set up all our view range, blah, blah, blah. So 80% of this is done, meaning family content, view templates mostly established, like I'm not going to show fire alarm devices on a plumbing plan, right? That kind of stuff. The rest of it's on the project setup person, so that's something that each of us is going to have to do. Now when you're doing that, it's important to think about, I'm making this change, I seem to be making the same tweak every time I start a project up. Maybe that's something that should be brought into the template. It's a no-brainer. Like, for example, if I'm showing security devices on a mechanical power plant, right, that should be checked off in the view template. There's no case where I need to show that.
Right.
Or there's a filter in the view template which is hiding ductwork on a mechanical plant. That's got to go. So every time you set up a new project, that's the time where you have the opportunity to capture view template tweaks that we can make. It's a living document. It's always changing. Maybe a new work set, maybe this. So at this point, I'm training you and recording this to show to Scott and Hobson and maybe all of the people in our department so that they can reference it if I need someone to set up a new project.
Sure.
Once you have projects set up down, you might not even really need to know how to model that well, but you do need to know your VV settings, all the background stuff. You need to know how to make a background or a view look correct. Right. Okay. Routing preferences, you might not need to know. Right. Systems, you might not need to know. Sure. You should at this point. Right. Okay. So I'm going to make sure all the work sets are open. I'm going to click OK. And while that happens, because I'm detaching from Central, it's asking if I want to discard work sets. And I think this is what the Perkins guys did, is they detached their Central to send to us and discarded work sets. And what that means is we had no work sets in their background. So what it does is it deletes all work sets, which is wrong. We need work sets. Right. So I'm going to detach and preserve. And you see this is the prompt I get is this is upgrading from 14 to 16, which if this was still linked to that 14 would be a big deal. This takes a little bit because it also has to upgrade the families. So while that's happening, I'm going to go back to the ARC model that we just saved to Revit server, and I'm going to sync up because what I want to do is make sure that I check user-created work sets. I want to relinquish ownership and also compact the central model. So this is basically going to make it smaller and relinquish all ownership. And as that's happening, we could head back over to Revit server, and I'm just going to click refresh, and we can look at what's going on here. All right. So now under the ARC folder, we have our Portland project, and it gives us a little bit of history here. Okay. So it tells us that a couple of minutes ago I saved it, and now I'm syncing up. When we get a new background, and you save as over this, there'll be another line item and under comments that automatically, I think it's under comments, it automatically will say model replaced. So you'll know that we updated the background on this date. While we're here, this website, all Revit server websites are locked out, meaning no access to anybody but, I think at this point it's myself and Jerry in LA, because this is the only place you can go to delete files. You know, on the traditional network, some dummy could go in here and just take this and delete it. Yeah. All right, which is why I don't like leaving our Revit projects, because there's too much at stake. So they stay here, and even in Revit, like if I go here, I click on open, and I go over here to Revit server, I can't even delete from here either. It's completely protected. So this is the one place where you could make some bad decisions. So that's why Jerry and myself are the only two people who have access right now. I think as people get better, we'll grant more access, more responsibilities from a Revit side. Okay, so yeah, this is just update. It's got to take each family and upgrade each family within the template too. So what we're going to do is when the template is done, we're going to have this completed before you go to create new projects, so that when you open 16 template, it's just ready to go. Right. And that's why we keep different model versions of the template rather than just one master one, because I don't want you to have to upgrade each time you need a new project. All right, this is all synced up. Now another thing we want to look at is the phasing. So I'm going to go to the Manage tab. I'm going to head over to phasing. And we're going to look at the names of the phases. Perkins Will, Anno T1, Anno Demo, Existing New Construction. So Anno T1, the description is hide their families and symbols. Demo of hidden. So what this looks like is that they drew probably a wall with a door and a whole bunch of devices in it that they'll drag onto their cover sheet to say, here's our legends and symbols. Mm-hmm. But they don't want to see it in model space, even though it's modeled there, so they phase it out. So they create a phase which happens before existing conditions. And they model everything on there. And then in their phase filters, they say, don't show me that phase at all. And all of the legends and symbols that they modeled in model space disappear. It's something architects do a lot. We could do it, but I think I don't like tricking the system because it's just one more thing to explain to people. They're like, who are modeling, they're like, why do we have a full duct system in left field? I go, oh, well, that's on the legend phase, so just hide that. It's kind of confusing. But we do need to, shouldn't close that out. We do need to look at their phase filter, their graphic overrides to see how they want to depict it. Existing is halftone. Demolish is dashed. New is half-toned, which doesn't make sense.
New and existing are both halftone?
Right.
And the same pattern?
There is no pattern. It's just no override, just halftone. I don't like it. It actually doesn't make any sense to me.
Because if you have your phase filter to show existing and new, everything is going to look the same.
Yeah, so this wall here is existing and it's half-toned. Where's the new wall? Yeah, we're not going to follow that. See, that's new.
So we're at liberty to change those things.
We're not going to change the way that their background looks. We're going to change the way that our phases look.
Right.
Ideally, our phase filters and their phase filters line up. So our demo stuff looks like their demo stuff, our existing stuff looks like their existing stuff, but I think the way that architecture is depicted and the way MEP is depicted, we sometimes have to have differences. Okay, this is still going. What else can we look at here? I guess while this is happening, what we can do is back in the project folder is we could set up the Navisworks file. Okay. So we head back over to DWG. Just like we did yesterday, Navisworks. NWC. And then we copy this into
the original from the architect.
Yeah, or the desktop, the same file. But it's important to remember that the same thing goes with the file format. Like This has to stay the same name for Navisworks to pick up on it.
So does it go into NWC or is it outside?
Yeah, NWC. Because once we open this in Navisworks, it generates the NWC automatically in order for Navisworks to detect changes in the file and to recreate the NWC. The original file and the NWC need to be in the same folder, or it won't. It'll say, I don't know where I'm working. Okay, so this is done. So I'll save the Navisworks so we're done. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this detached, and the first thing we're going to do is save it into the project folder in Revit Server. here. And now we're going to call this our standard naming convention. Sometimes in the execution plan, they want us to name our files per their standard. Like on Time Warner, it's called like 06. You've seen the central file. It's got a weird name.
Yeah.
If they don't tell us, then I just put the project number, and I put MEP, and then I put the version at the end, actually with an underscore. We've got MEP version 16, nothing fancy. We could put, somewhere in here maybe the project description too, but we use the project number like as a social security number for the project, so I'm good with that. Keep it short. Done. Outside of the ARC folder, right, just in the main Revit server file.
So this template is going to become the central.
It is becoming it as we speak. So I'm saving this to Revit server right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm technically working directly in the central model right now, which we know is a no-go. You shouldn't be doing it. But during project setup, no one else is in it.
Yeah.
I don't really care. Okay.
So this is the only time you really need to be in it anyway.
What do you mean?
Like editing it like this.
Yeah.
During
Yep. I would say if there's an extreme circumstance, like this has to go out today, or this has to go in like 10 minutes,
right.
I would do this, link the ARC model in, close it, and then open it again and create a local so that someone else could hop in. Like, I don't even, like, there's nothing set up, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In an extreme circumstance where someone has to get into the model,
Sure.
you don't let them in while you're in the central. So you have to close out and create new locals. You can still do everything we're going to do from a local file and sync up, but I think they can wait the 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is a nice project because it's only one floor, so we don't have to create multiple levels and then duplicate them to each discipline. We have one floor, and we're just going to duplicate with detailing to each of the views for each of the disciplines, assign the view templates, check the floors to make the plans to make sure they look good, and sync up. Now the thing is, that's not the end of the story, because once the engineers go in, they're going to have tweaks that they want to make, that 20% tweak that we just don't know about.
Right.
Can you change the view range, or I want to show furniture here, blah, blah, blah. Most of the time those can be addressed by, can you just use a coordination view, or is this something that you want to print? Is there something that's not showing up that you need to print? Then we need to look at the view template again. Is it something that you just want to see for design purposes? Then you just go to your coordination view and use your VV settings to show it.
Right.
Right? That's why we have the view templates. I had a project last week or 2 weeks ago that I set up, and the engineer wasn't really getting that. They should use the coordination view. So in the view template, they turned off they turned everything off from the view template. So the view template wasn't actually controlling anything. Yeah. So that's why we need to explain these things.
Okay.
All right, we're good. So what we want to do from here is, now that we're saved, is we're going to go, you always have a BIM management view called level 1. You need to have at least a level in a project. There can't be a no-level project. So we're going to go to this. This was just me working. I'll delete it. And we're going to switch our work set to linked ARC. We're going to go to the Insert tab and link Revit. We're going to head over to the Revit server where we have this hosted. Long Island, M, Portland, ARC, Portland, and it said origin to origin already. Remember, origin to origin for the links, always. Unless execution plan says shared coordinates, and we could probably have a separate video to cover shared coordinates. It's a whole other thing. once this gets linked in, we know we're not working on level 1, which is what that floor plan says. We're working on level 5 for this project. So we're going to copy in level 5 from their project, which is going to give us the elevation of level 5. And then we're going to delete level 1 from this project altogether. That was a template placeholder level that you just need. But we don't want people accidentally hosting to it or creating views from it, so we get rid of the level 1 from the BIM template after we copy monitor.
Are you recording your screen, or you didn't want to do that anyway?
I'm showing my screen.
Because it's recording audio, right?
No, it's recording the video. Because I'm showing the screen.
Okay.
What I've done before is I've tried to do tutorials by myself.
Yeah.
I'll start a GoToMeeting, I'll click record, but I won't show my screen. But because we're seeing it on this monitor,
yeah,
I'm presenting.
Oh,
so this whole thing is getting recorded.
Okay, cool.
And then after I'm done, I'm like, cool, I click save, I watch the recording, it's like the presenter's not showing anything. Awesome. All right, so this is what our level 1 looks like right now because level 5 is up there.
Right.
So what we need to do, you could either cut a section or drop an elevation, marker in. It's really up to you. I like doing elevation markers for this purpose, but you can do whatever you want. Make sure elevations are shown. So turn that on. Drop the elevation marker in. I'm going to say here. Sometimes it's hard. You don't know where the project is. I'm going to go like that. I'm going to go like that. The elevation marker is a temporary thing. And then when you open this up, there it is. So now what we can do is we're going to switch over to. Oh, what did I forget?
Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What did you just do there? Like,
I created an elevation.
Okay, so
which is similar to a section.
So before you did that, we were just looking at level 1.
Yeah.
Which is that placement.
Right.
Okay.
And I was just using my Revit intuition to figure, like, should it be here? Should it be here? Should it be here? I see these 2 reference planes, and I'm assuming when I hover, that's the link, so I should put it here so that that arrow pointing this way will see the project. I could cut a section, it would probably do the same thing.
Right.
So I open this up, and there it is.
Okay.
But before I proceed, pin this sucker, right? Or anything. Link and pin. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this level that's up here.
Okay.
So we're going to go. So we're going to switch to levels and grids. Collaborate. Copy monitor. Select link. Here. Copy. Level. Just one level, but if there were multiple, we'd check the multiple button in the options and box select and get them all. Okay, finish. And now what we do, in order to delete levels, we actually have to go to a schedule for the levels, called level schedule, which is in the template. Here's where we see the 2 levels. Take this guy. There should be a context tab here. There we go. So you got the context tab. I select the level I don't want, and I delete. Okay. So when that level gets deleted, all views that reference that level, I think they also get deleted. See, my BIM management views are gone. So if I close this out, and I close this elevation out,
You just left with.
right. which I like because now I don't have to go through and delete all those views that were referencing level 1. If I forget one and someone goes and works on it, all right. So we're going to.
So what if you're in a project that has a level 1? Is there going to be a?
Now, if you have 2 level 1s,
yeah,
there's an option during Copy Monitor for it to try to align them and match them so that the existing one is monitored against the background one. Good question. All right, so we're going to go to View. We're going to go Create Floor Plan. We're going to go level 5, but we're going to change this over to BIM Management for the type so that we have our BIM Management view. And you can treat this almost as a prototype, right? So like an X301. What we want to do is we want to set this view up to be good, meaning the background is right.
Mm-hmm.
It shows the CAD in this case that we need. The room tags are there. Everything looks good. And then we duplicate that one to the other disciplines, apply the view template so that everything that we set up already gets carried over. Mm-hmm. Okay. What I like to do is at the end of this is, at the end of the name, is BIM. And then you got to be careful. Every time you rename a view, not every time, but during the initial project setup, when you rename a view, it asks if you also want to rename the level. And you always say no, we don't rename levels. All right. And actually, one of the changes we're making to our template is the browser organization. The BIM management views are going to be classified not as a level 3 coordination. They're going to have their own, and we're going to put them as 0. BIM management. Okay. And then these export views, which the Navis works, this is going to be changed, I think, to 4. So it's below. Okay. So it's going to go 0. 1 is going to be design. 2 is going to be coordination. 3 is going to be like counts, I think. And then 4 is export, and we'll keep going. So we have this. And now we need to also create the RCP, BIM management. Okay. Rename. BIM. No. Good. Head back over to our BIM management view. We got the color here, which is super confusing. And going back to the original model, we can see that they have it here as well. So what we can do is, in our BV settings, I think what we're going to want to see here, I'm going to start with just by link view, and we're going to go with probably a construction plan. Click OK and see how that looks. I think we're going to get too much.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's important that we show that CAD background. So what we can do from here is we can get rid of the color scheme. That's what this is, all these colors.
Right.
Here, here, custom, and then color fill. Actually, I think it's under color scheme. This. So we're going to go to, I think that's what this is. By having the other model open, I can head over there quickly and see exactly how they did this. It might be filled region, I don't know. So let's take a look. So let's go back here, see what's going on. So this is a floor type. Oh boy.
I was just thinking that. Maybe that's the floor.
Yikes. Look at the Then they also have,
What type of?
well, what is it? This is a detail item, not a contract, and the rest of it is, right. So unfortunately, what we're going to have to do is, under floors, we're going to have to take the pattern and change the color to white. It's really distracting. So by doing that, and also change the pattern to solid. You can see this project has a long way to go. There's tables here between walls. So that works, but now the CAD background can't see it. So we might want to just not show floors at all at this point. A lot of times what I do is I'll just take notes of things that are a hurdle for us in the background, and I send requests over to the architect and say, look, can you set up a different view or something that helps us? This is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these grids don't look good because you have a CAD link in there with an E grid and an F grid.
Mm-hmm.
Now what we want to do is, because we have that linked view set up, we can grab this hatched region, we can select it, we can copy it, and we can paste it to the current view. Okay, and what this allows us to do is to go back into our Revit links, set everything by host view, apply, and then we still need to show that CAD background. So we go custom,
Mm-hmm.
import categories, custom, gonna say, we don't know. Just don't know. Because they don't have any sheets set up, I don't know what the configuration is.
Right, right.
Okay. So the CAD's back. We don't know if it's right. But this is okay. So we got most of this set up. This is the prototype. We could head over to the ceiling plan, and we can also paste
That
mm-hmm.
contract.
Good. All right, and we can see some demo work here.
I hate that all across the board on Revit, man. How demo looks, it sucks. Like, it's not clear enough.
We could change it. Let's change it. I had some ideas about this. We could change this to solid. So pattern. Like that. I think this should help. Leave that for now. It's tough. I mean,
it's just rough the way
it does
it.
Okay, but this is good. Those are good. Now, RF Tools is an add-in which we have licensing for, limited licensing for at the moment, but as people become more proficient with Revit and show that they can set projects up, it's going to be something that you're going to need, especially on multi-floor projects. So one of the things here is project setup. We click on that button. And from here, what we can do is we can create sheets. And what we do is we say edit in Excel. I have all the engineers take an Excel sheet and just put, Here's the drawing name, drawing number that I'm going to need for this project straight up. I take this add-in, I go to Excel, I copy all that information in, and then I create the sheets automatically based on their input. So I don't have to go create a new sheet. Here's the name, here's the number. It's all Excel-based.
Cool. Is it linked?
No, but it's just a reload. You just say edit, reload. So no big deal. We can create views. Same deal. We edit in Excel. Drop all the views on. For a project with one floor, I don't even bother. I just duplicate. You can even take views and drop them on sheets, scope box, all that good stuff. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a scope box that I'll pin these after I'm done with them. But I'm going to just create a scope box here so that it keeps it nice and tight. I'm going to change my work set to the Z scope box, which if we go to the manage work sets, should be hidden, and scope box should both be hidden from all views. And in my VV settings, I'm going to go to my work sets and show scope box. I don't want to see it in every view. All right. Create scope box. I'm going to call it overall. Call it building, overall, something like that. That add-in, RF tools, will copy scope boxes from the other projects so we get the same, but they didn't have any. I saw they didn't have any. So I'm just going to create this one nice and tight around the perimeter here, like such. Okay, perfect. And then we're going to apply that scope box to this. And to this. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is go to the Manage tab, Transfer Project Standards, and what we're going to do from here is we're going to bring in their phase settings. And the reason we have to do this is because they might have phase filters named a certain way, and if ours aren't named the same way and I apply a phase filter, it won't recognize what I'm asking for. So we need to get the same exact phase settings. So this is telling me that some of these things are the same. Do you want to override or only bring in new stuff? We're going to override the phase project phase information. We're going to override. It's going to bring it in. And what that means is those same settings we saw were existing and new were halftone. We're going to have to go in and change those.
Right. So it's bringing exactly what they have into this.
Yep. Wow. We're going to go to phases. We're going to go to graphic overrides. Something like that. We can tweak them later. Cool. So that's it. So now what we want to do is right-click, duplicate view, duplicate with detailing. So that's going to bring all the settings we did. This project's a little tough because of the room tags. Like, I don't know if they have room tags. I saw like one room tag pop up down here. You know, but these are all from the CAD.
Yeah, I was just giving that.
So it's, and this is going to be a little tricky because they have so much CAD work in here. Like all of this is CAD. All of this is CAD. So a lot of the work we're going to be doing, we need to adjust accordingly. Piping and the chase, we're not connecting to fixtures. We don't have them. We're just going to show waistline, stub out. That's it. You know, cold and a hot line in here. waistline, you know what I mean? So,
So there's no possibility, like, just say for instance, Kelly had this job. You can't do isometrics and all that stuff because you don't have geometry.
we can do isometrics, but where the fixtures would be, we would put fixture tags that are just hex notes with the designation for what it is.
Right.
So here's where that is.
Okay.
I'm hoping as we go along this project, they update their backgrounds with real furniture, real fixtures, all that good stuff, but who knows. All right, so I take this guy, I rename it. This is going to be M. I don't know what I was going to do here in terms of naming conventions. I don't want to put design anymore. I think I'd rather leave it as the default discipline, and then maybe we could just say plan or something like that, and then apply the view template. Okay, so now it's under here. See, it still says BIM management. We just got to go in here, change the type of floor plan. Light fixtures showed up. See, the issue is the furniture. That's going to be a problem because we have in our VV settings, furniture is off, but we're still seeing it because it's CAD here. So we'd almost have to go in to the link, import categories, look at the layers, and turn off
the furniture.
Yeah, this is no good. Okay, so if that didn't work, what you can do is you can select the CAD. Can't do that. Oh man, this is tough. All right, well, we'll leave it on for now. We'll see how it goes. So I made the floor plan. I'm going to do the same for the ceiling plan. Rename. Change it to a regular ceiling plan. Change the view template to design MRCP. Good.
Okay. So when you change the name, that automatically puts it under mechanical?
No.
How does it?
The view template.
Okay.
The view template. Okay, so now I have my mechanical design done. And it's not on the sheet yet. You can do that later. But basically, you go through, you just keep on duplicating for each discipline. Some disciplines don't need a ceiling plan, fire alarm, for example. Right, just a floor plan.
That's plumbing user.
That's
a plumbing user.
Right. I don't know. Something like that.
So the BIM management plan is the X301.
Basically.
And then you can
Basically. So I turn the link off. And this is, I guess, the new construction and some demo work here, but it's just hard to tell. Like, I don't know the project well enough to know if this is good. Like, this is no CAD links in the background.
Right.
It looks okay. I think we don't need them. I just, we need clarification from these guys. I turn them off. You know, like clearly here's some demo work
Right.
that they're going to get rid of. And this is still here, but, you know, we lost these bathrooms. Oh, no, right? I think we lost the bathrooms. We lost the bathrooms that were here.
Right.
So I don't know, man. Like if that's not in their contract because it's base building, maybe we don't have to show it out. I don't know. All right. What we want to do now is copy monitor, light fixtures. We're going to invert. Only show light fixtures. We're going to go to the light. And we're going to copy monitor. Now what I need to do, I have an email from these guys. I don't have it open, but they basically sent us all the families that they're using, and what we're going to do is we're going to load up our parameters and link them to the connectors for electrical fixtures and light fixtures. We send their model over to us, and we copy and monitor them. They'll come in with our own parameters already built in. So we can circuit, power up, and it'll work with our panel schedules. All of our shared parameters. It's not done yet, so I'm not going to copy monitor these, but that would be the next step, would be to copy monitor the light fixtures, and then the electrical fixtures, which we can't see here, but pretty sure they exist. Maybe they haven't placed them yet. Yeah, I don't see any here. And that's going to be a common workflow that we require the architect to provide us with their fixtures. First, they have to be real fixtures, electrical fixtures, light fixtures, comms, data. Secondly, that they send them to us and we can edit the properties. We're not going to change the graphical way they work or the way that they host them, just the properties behind them so that when we power them up, they work. So far, nobody's had any problem with it. I'm going to sync up just to get all these changes in. I'll spare this demonstration, this tutorial, for me setting up the rest of the views. That's basically how you set up all the views. And then what I do is I go back to their model. I go down to one of their sheets. And I use that same add-in, RF Tools, to give me the XY location of the plan in this space so that our plan is in the same location on the sheet as theirs. So that during a page turn, ours doesn't stutter, you know?
Yep.
If there's an east-west, then we have to get 2 XYs. If there's a north-south-east-west, we have to get 3 XYs. However many it is, we get that many XYs. We export it from this parameter transformer. We basically export to Excel, and then I save it to the project folder, and I call it like viewport locations, Excel. I head back over to our project, I place all the views on the sheets, and then I open that Excel and say use these XY locations to place our views on these sheets in the same location. And then the other thing we do with the project open is with their project open is we select the title block. And I do it this way, but first we know it's 30 by 42. Landscape north, that's the family type. Okay, so that's the size of the sheet. There's different ways you can save it out, but I open it up. I go into Edit Family. I look for custom parameters that they might have in here. So what's this using? This is using standard sheet number, nothing fancy. But sometimes for DOB, we have that 0.00. They'll add a custom parameter. That's what Gensler does. And so what we need to do is take that shared parameter that they use and insert it into our project. Otherwise, that 0.00 won't work. So there's some shared parameters sometimes that are in the title block, and that's what I'm looking for now. Usually it's just strong name, strong number. You know, we can drop in our information here. I have a family that has our logo and everything that we can put in, or we could just type it in. But for now, we'll just leave it alone. So I take this guy, save as family. This family doesn't need to be saved in the originals or in the project folder. It's getting loaded directly into our project, so that's where it lives. If they change the title block and they let us know, we just do it over again and replace the old one. We don't have to ever go back and say, oh, I got to get that. Everything lives in the Revit file, so we don't need to duplicate or save it somewhere else. You open the Revit file and you get it. That's the way I work for most things. So I'm going to save this just to my desktop for right now. Head back over to our project and load that same title block family into our project so that we can create our sheets using it. Okay. So we continue to create the views. We get the XY locations for the viewports. We drop all of our views on the sheets. We align them using the XY locations from that plugin. We make sure the name and the numbers are good based on the Excel given to us by the engineers for the sheet names and sheet numbers. We populate all that information. And then we say it's ready. That's when it's ready. All the views created, view templates applied. We copy monitor fixtures, all the light fixtures, drop them on sheets, make sure the sheets' names are right, and then we let them go. And if they come back and say, your range needs to be changed, I need to show this, that's part of that 20% customization that will happen organically as the guy starts to work. Because it's not like AutoCAD where it's just a 2D plane and this is your plan, right? There's another dimension in there that we just don't know. I mean, I look at our mechanical plan here, and this looks good. We don't have something to compare on their side right now because they don't, I mean, quite frankly, their background is a mess. But if they had a sheet created already that was called construction plan, then we would know how to set up our design plans, but we don't at this point. So, like, if I go to this, then
guess what?
Yeah, like this can't be a background. This just can't be the background, right? So we got what we have. We'll go from there. I'm gonna sync up, and that's it. You have any questions?
Not at the moment. I'm sure once I do one of these, I'll have some questions. But
All right, cool. End the meeting.